my Vegas studios down in the heart of Las Vegas. This is Full Tilt Vegas. We're going to be, like I said, in the past 3-4 shows, Brett's going to be here for a sports analyst. So you go, well, stay tuned for that. He's been doing basketball in the future, baseball. We're going to get into probably the three main sports. Maybe I'll throw something in there in hockey or something like that. But yeah, you can go to get my book on Amazon. You can get it. I'm really I was rushing over here, so I'm in a hurry here. Yeah, you can Kindle it, Google Play. You can get it that or get it for a friend. We also have posters. My poster on Full Tilt Vegas, and also we do sell the coffee cups, so you can get the coffee cups. I use it for both hot chocolate and because sometimes it's cold here in Vegas. You can coffee, hot chocolate, or I don't know, a dash of rum in there. Yeah, so you can get that or order those. The number is what is it? 855. There it is, right there. I mean, I can't even see that far. There it is, 520-4321. 502. Yeah. Okay, so yes, I got a comment. Actually, a couple of people text me that I know. They want to know about a recap on Crapless Craps, which is the MGM has it about 5 months now. They asked me, can you buy the bets? Yes, you can buy. You can buy all the bets. Don't buy 6 and 8. It really, you break out even. You're better off buying. Always buy 4 and 10 on regular craps. You can buy the 5 and 9. You do get a couple of dollars more on now on Crapless Craps on 2, 3, 11, and 12. You definitely buy them. You're way better off buying these numbers because you get true odds. It's just like the number becoming, say the number is 8, and then no, excuse me, say the number is 12, and you have a flat bet, say $10, and then you put $10 in the back. It pays 6 to 1, so you're gonna get $60 for your $10 if you take a flat bet and $10 odds. But if the point becomes 12 and you give them, it should be $1. It's 5% vig. It should be $1 per every 20. So if you give them $1, it becomes true odds. So you want to buy. It gets a little expensive, but man, if you can catch a shooter, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, and 12, you should buy those numbers. And then you have to play the 6 and 8. So it's a little expensive if you want in the beginning. Just leave out 5 and 9. But you just buy these numbers. And if you get somebody that shoots, even if somebody only shoots, say they shoot only 15 minutes, which to me is not very long, but they keep hitting these numbers, you'll make your money back really fast. You'll make it probably in, let's see, one buy, probably in two of the buys, you'll get all your money back out of 6 numbers. So buy the numbers. Ask some of the casinos. Some of the casinos I didn't check because I didn't really think about asking. Like on regular craps, you can actually lay the bets. Now I'm pretty sure they're gonna let you do it. You can lay these numbers, is just like you can buy them. But you better check with the casino because there is no don't, and there's no don't come. So I'm curious myself because I haven't even asked. I don't really play lay bets on the Crapless Craps because the opportunities to hit the 2, 3, 11, and 12, which are huge payouts. So you can really rack up some money really quick. The other thing I want to talk about is blackjack. I was playing blackjack the other day, and on the strip, it's I think the only one at Casino Royale is the only one paying 3 to 2. I haven't really checked some because I know some of the other ones are all 6 to 5. Don't play 6 to 5. They're keeping $3 is what they're doing. They should be giving you those $3 and they're not. if you can probably go downtown or try to find a casino. I'm not sure if the Excalibur, there's a possibility they pay 3 to 2, but I wouldn't. I just wouldn't play it. It's casinos really taking advantage of the people here, charging resort fees. They don't have a resort. Some of these casinos don't even have a resort. Why are they charging resort fees? So people got a little pissed off this past summer about that. I heard a lot of stories about that. Just trying to find a casino, make sure you get rated, because that's the best way to get free rooms, food, limo. You can get shows. If you play enough, you can possibly get, they'll fly you in, airline tickets, and you get a limo ride to the room and possibly the room. It depends how much you play. It depends on the casino, too. A lot of the upper casinos, like Bellagio, Mandalay Bay, Caesars, you really have to play a lot to get something. That's why I don't really care to go to those casinos, because what are you playing? If you're playing slot machines or roulette or blackjack or craps, the tables are all the same everywhere you go. It doesn't matter. The only thing is those casinos, those upper casinos, they want you to play, like usually the minimum is $25 a play, or $25 minimum on craps per bet. So, and you have to play a lot, because what was it, Jeepers? It was a long time ago, probably 15 years ago. I was playing craps there, and I'm going to tell you, Aaron, don't flip on that chair. I lost $7,000 back then, about 15 years ago, at Mandalay Bay, and I never told anybody. This is the first time I'm telling people, but it doesn't matter, because I actually won. Probably about 4. I was 4 days before. 2 days in a row. 4 days before, 2 days in a row, I won like $9,000. But I gave back almost all of it, 7,000 of the 9. But the thing is, what I'm telling you is, you know what I got for $7,000 playing craps that long? I was on the crap table probably 3 hours. It might have been a little more longer, 3.5, something like that. I got 1 day free on a Wednesday. That's what I got. If I would have done this at the Stardust or the Rio or Orleans, they probably would have, the owner would have came to my house, put me in his limo, and drove me here. This is the problem with playing upper casinos. You pick a casino like the mid-level casinos, the Boulder stations like that, the Boyd Gaming is good, Sam's Town. You get a lot of comps. You'll get some really good stuff. That's the problem in playing upper casinos. They want you to bet a lot, and I think it's ridiculous, especially playing $25 a hand. Don't get into the casino. You can get into the casino really fast. Let's see. Okay, and also on blackjack, make sure you play 2 hands. Don't play one. You can play one in the beginning, but go to 2 as quick as you can, because sometimes one will pay the other. And don't play 3 hands, because I already did the scenarios. I think it was episode 2. There's a couple other episodes I'm trying to remember. I did so many on blackjack and roulette, and I've actually said this. I did the scenarios, 10 shoes. I went through all the trouble on a Friday and Saturday night when everybody was partying, because I did this a lot when I was writing this book. I did 10 shoes, 6 decks, 10 shoes. I did the scenarios on 2 hands and 3 hands. I made more money playing 2 hands. Not a ton of money, but I did make more. And to me, it was better, because a lot of times when I lost one, it paid the other. The thing that playing 3 hands, what I didn't like, when I lost all 3. If I was playing $10, that's $30 a shot, and that's only $10. And the other thing is, if it's a $10 table, they force you to, instead of 10, you got to play 20 on all 3, so that's $60. It depends on the casino. If you go 3 hands, you can ask them, the floor, hey, can I just play 10, 10, 10 instead of 20, 20, 20, because you're playing 3 hands. They might tell you no. I wouldn't do it. Play 2 hands, you're better off. And then try to find a casino that pays you 3 to 2, because they're keeping it $3 every time. Can you imagine add up $3 on, what is that, 8,400 just in the United States alone? So you add that up, was that 30 grand they make if you're playing just one of those one hand in all those casinos, 8,400 tables just in one hand. They make $30,000 extra just playing, everybody on those tables playing that one hand. That's how much money they're keeping from the customer. Just don't do it. If you find a table that offers surrender, that's fantastic. Look for casinos. I don't even know if Casino Royale has it. They possibly might have it. It's right next to what's it? There's a McDonald's there, a Panda, Denny's. What is it? The Carnival in the back. They have the Carnival. Man, I can't remember the casino. Harris Casino. They possibly might have 3-2 because to me that's one of the best places to play any of the games for a small amount of dollar. A lot of tables are still $5 during the week, so you can go there and do that. The other thing I want to talk about, I'm going to say this. I haven't heard back from the game control board. I found a casino. I'm not going to say the name of it. Three of their game, was it King Games? 3 of those, when you put the maximum bet, it's 5 quarters. I was playing the quarters, 5 quarters a shot. It was taking the 5th quarter, but it was only paying out the four quarters. So if I hit 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th quarter, it lit up, and then it went to the 4, but it took the quarter. And I called the attendant and showed her. Says, look what this machine's doing. That machine's doing the same thing. So they checked it. They took out my name. Probably owed me $50 because I hit it. 4 of a kind. I was playing Deuces Wild. But I'm not sure if those machines have a gaff. It's called a gaff. That means that was intentionally, because it's kind of strange. 3 machines were doing the same thing. It was taking the 5th quarter, but it was only paying out for 4. And I showed her. I says, look it, see, it's going to minus the quarter. Watch. I pushed the button. It went to red to 5, and it went back to 4, and it took the quarter. So she took all that information down, and I'm still waiting to hear from Game Control Board. I didn't even check. There was another machine. I didn't even check it. I don't know if it's doing the same thing. But you got to watch this when you're playing slot machines. I only play video poker, so I was playing Deuces Wild, and I noticed it. I said, hey, it's taking my quarter, and I did hit 4 of a kind. I should have got 200. I think it was 240 quarters. I got 24 quarters. So I don't know if the machine had. It's kind of strange. All 3 machines were doing the same thing. Because when I did the 2, I went and checked her without telling her, and that machine was doing the same thing, but I didn't tell her. But they got my number, and I got the video on my phone. So anyway, okay, I'm going to wrap this up. What was that, Aaron?
We're at 16 minutes.
16? Okay. Yeah, so don't forget, you can get my book, and also smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Tell all your friends about Full Tilt Vegas and what we offer here. I'm offering free advice. Brett's going to do his sports analyst, which is fantastic. Like I said, you can get my book, Amazon, Google Play. You can Kindle it. You can also get it on Barnes & Noble. You can get it for you and some friends. Surprise them on their birthday. I think they would love the book. The value for what the content is incredible for the price. It's just this book, the way I designed it, I couldn't get any higher price. I got a lot of offers when it was in manuscript form for $30. I'm in manuscript form, but I never sold it. I could have probably sold 500-600 of them when I used to do the parties, but I didn't want to do that because they could have just taken it apart and downloaded and run it off and give it to all their friends. That's why I never sold it in manuscript form. So I finally found a publisher, to me was pretty reasonable, and they published the book. Took 8 months, painstaking, but it was worth it because you control the book. I have all the rights. I can do anything I want, like my posters. I can make tons of those, and it's me. I have the rights to anything on my book. It's in the book Winning Ways. But if anybody's interested, I'm going to give them a plug. It's called Page Publishing in New York. If you want to look that up, you're interested in doing a book. Also, Anthony Kurtz here in Las Vegas Advisor. He has a publishing company. Anthony, if you're watching, I'll give you another plug, and thank you for coming on my show. You probably want to go to that, Las Vegas Advisor, tells you everything what's going on in Las Vegas. So I'm gonna wrap this up here, and we're gonna do a commercial with Brett, and I'll probably see you guys next Saturday. All right, thank you here from Full Tilt, Las Vegas. This is Go Live Vegas Studios. So I want to make sure I get that right. Thank you, and we'll see you Saturday.
Stay tuned for Brett.
What's going on, everybody? Brett Lawson here, co-host of Full Tilt Vegas and Las Vegas-based sports analyst. Just letting you know, I will be joining Richard here for the foreseeable future to break down all the action in the NFL playoffs. If you want to know how to bet, you want to understand the concept of point spreads or totals, prop bets, and everything in between the world of football betting, we are going to take you there every night here on Saturday nights on the Go Live Vegas platform. So be sure to tune in, whether it be through the mobile app or any of our visual platforms on social media. I will be joining Richard on set from here on out, 6 p.m. Pacific time, Saturday nights, to break down the full slate of NFL playoff action. We're in the wild card round now, and still plenty to come with the divisional rounds, conference championship weekend, and the Super Bowl, and we'll be covering it all right here on Full Tilt Vegas. Be there.
For the games are going on right now. One of them currently underway, one of them wrapping into that in a second, as we move on here to the sports betting side of things on Full Tilt Vegas. So again, thank you for Richard, kind of setting things up, toss it off to me as we have the last few weeks. You saw me again on Thursday, kind of lead the way myself. But again, this normal standard practice of seeing me fill in about halfway through the show will continue as we really move into the teeth of the NFL postseason. And we are dead shot in the middle right here currently of San Francisco at Green Bay at Lambeau Field. About 6.5 minutes to go in that second quarter. So far, my play that I gave you guys on Thursday, the under of 47.5, looking pretty good given the defensive nature of this game. So far, Green Bay racks up 8 first downs to 0 for San Francisco, although San Francisco's defense is doing a stellar job of keeping them in it thus far. And you hear the music, that means we're going to start giving some, or really just diving into the betting analysis right away. The interesting part about this is we get to track a game like this live all on the air, much like we have been able to do the past 2 weeks. But this is a much more interesting matchup to gauge than the Philadelphia-Dallas Week 18 primetime game we saw, and even last week's wild card matchup we saw on Saturday night between Buffalo and New England, as Garoppolo connects with Kittle on this drive right here is actually probably the best offensive drive the Niners have had all first half long. So we will continue to follow that. I'll continue to check my progress on that play. But before I do, I want to touch up on a play that I gave on Thursday that took place earlier this afternoon. And of course, that was Cincinnati and Tennessee. I like the under in that matchup, the under of 48. That game wraps 19-16, the final score. The Bengals getting it done in incredibly surprising fashion in a game where Tennessee's defensive front sacked quarterback Joe Burrow 9 different occasions. They lose. How often do you see that? A team that racks up 9 sacks and completely dominates the line of scrimmage is on the losing end of the coin. And that comes down to a costly interception off a tip ball from Ryan Tannehill with about 30 seconds left, or just under 30 seconds left. It allows the Bengals and Evan McPherson, who was money all game long, completely lights out from field goal range, from numerous ranges, and he was able to split the uprights to win that game for Cincinnati. They will advance the AFC Championship. In the process, my first play that I gave you guys on our NFL Divisional Round prediction special on Thursday, so far out of the gate, we are 1-0 with the under in that final score. And thus far, we are looking like we're going to hit the under, barring an explosive second half from both quarterbacks in this matchup going on right now at Lambeau Field. But again, just touching up on what we saw between Cincinnati and Tennessee, a lot to gauge there. Again, most of the takeaways that we're going to kind of continue to see really just not just me, the media as a whole, that they will continue to hang their hat on moving forward is just that. The sack numbers for Tennessee's defensive line and the fact that they lost that game. Joe Burrow finishes with 28 for 37 on his attempts, 348 yards, no touchdowns and an interception, but was absolutely gritty when he needed to be, showing incredible physical toughness. Again, his durability is something that has been tracked all year long, given the nature of what happened to him last year with that ACL tear, as well as that structural knee damage, and the fact the Bengals' offensive line, despite being a very good offensive unit as a whole, that offensive line continues to be the weak spot, and yet here it is, and yet here they are, a week away from the AFC Championship game. Clearly not that much of an Achilles heel. But again, allowing 9 sacks on your quarterback and walking away with a win is a complete anomaly. Derrick Henry, not a whole lot of rust in terms of how he looked. In fact, there was a couple of runs where he looked absolutely stellar. Was very, very productive in terms of, those cloud of dust type of runs. He made his mark there, the physicality. Even broke out a couple where we saw the stiff arm finishing some big runs. We started to see him, kind of resemble the Derrick Henry we saw really long ago, at least if we talk about the 2021 campaign before that injury. It seems like it's been a long time since we've seen Derrick Henry in action, and he made his presence known on the field today. However, it's Devontae Foreman off of 4 carries, racks up 66 yards. Henry was able to gain 62 off of 20 carries and put it in for a touchdown. His longest of the day was 9 yards. So not exactly a stellar day for Henry, but he did what he needed to do, especially given the circumstances. The difference in this game, it was Tannehill. It came down into a few particular instances where he needed to make a play, and he just couldn't do it. A lot of it was more so the great defensive play on the end of Cincinnati and their defensive backs tipping those balls and then capitalizing on the interception. But either way, Tannehill not able to get it done, and the Titans were in position to win that game in the end had that turnover not taken place, or at least set up for overtime, as it was tied 16-16 before that would really, I guess you could say, it was a go-ahead, not a go-ahead interception, but an interception that set up the go-ahead field goal as time expired. So Evan McPherson, very much the hero for Cincinnati in terms of statistical production and in terms of the outcome of the game. Joe Burrow, kind of more of that moral, inspirational type of hero, where his passing numbers were impressive. He was very accurate, but was running around a lot, did not have a clean pocket in front of him. A lot of times when you see quarterbacks under pressure, those elite outside linebacker, defensive end, freak athlete, pass rushers, they'll come screaming off the edge, but if a quarterback at least has a decent pocket in front of him, he'll be able to step up. That was not the case for Joe Burrow. In the interior defensive line of Tennessee, Jeffrey Simmons, who had 3 sacks on his own right, of those 9 collectively for Tennessee, were in his grill every play, constantly in his lap, forcing Burrow to run backwards rather than side to side because of that pocket so often throughout that game collapsing around him. Yet through it all, Joe Burrow shows his athleticism. He shows the physical toughness, the grit, the determination, the durability. He took some bad shots, and there were a couple of times he got up a little hobbled, and yet he was able to lead his team to the win. Didn't put one into the end zone, yet this was very much like what I projected just a couple of days ago on Thursday in the preview special. A tough black and blue type of game, low scoring, lots of physicality. It actually was even more low scoring than I projected it to be, even though I didn't give you a final score. I just gave you the pick of the under for 48. So nonetheless, that was that luckily cashed out for me. But either way, it became clear very early on that was going to be the case. This was a defensive battle throughout its entirety, and really a testament to both teams on the line of scrimmage in terms of how they kind of made this an old school type of football game. Yet isn't it ironic that even when we have this old school type of football game, this black and blue low scoring affair with hard hitting play and a lot of aggressive downfield defensive play and pass rush, even so, the team that really shines in that regard being the Tennessee Titans, who put forth a Herculean effort, constantly pinning their ears back and getting after Burrow, walk away with the loss. It's always talked about, hell, ad nauseum, how you have to get after the quarterback, how you have to run the football. We saw Derrick Henry run the football effectively enough in spurts. We saw Tennessee's defense play incredible throughout the entirety of the game. And yet, through it all, it came back to the quarterback. Tannehill, who actually was able to find the end zone off an incredible throw to A.J. Brown, probably the best throw we saw of the whole contest, maybe the best throw we'll see the whole weekend. A.J. Brown able to haul it in with one arm for the score, but the costly factor there, the 3 interceptions. Tannehill's final stat line, he was 15 for 24 for 220 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks, and again, those sacks being so crucial as the game went on for both sides, yet Joe Burrow, despite being sacked more, was able to at least, I guess you could say, protect the football in better fashion. He also threw an interception as well off a tip pass, but at a less timely part of the game. I guess you could say, where that third Ryan Tannehill interception was the backbreaker that set up that McPherson field goal. So again, the big takeaway here is going to be, as I said when we came on here after Richard's segment, we immediately jumped right into it. The big takeaway that a lot of the media and the football community as a whole, fans, enthusiasts, are going to hang their hat on is the fact that Tannehill wasn't able to get it done when basically it was his moment to shine and lead his team to a victory, or at least solidify an overtime period. But that wasn't the case. The opportunistic Bengals defense forces that tip pass as he intended to fit it in a tight window, and the rest was history. So the key question is going to be, how does Joe Burrow hold up? We'll find out who they're playing next week. Will it be Buffalo? Will it be Cincinnati? We'll find out tomorrow night who they're playing next week with that game that we'll dive into here in a little bit. But again, the main takeaway, Joe Burrow's toughness, his durability being the main factor here, more so than his statistical production, being on the run from that ferocious Tennessee pass rush all day long and using that athleticism and that durability that is making him already a star in the league and possibly a quarterback who in his second year, after an injury ended his first year, he could find himself, depending on what happens next Sunday, in the Super Bowl. So obviously everything that Cincinnati is doing is a testament to what they've been able to accumulate around him. T. Higgins made a couple of phenomenal plays. Joe Mixon probably didn't get the ball as much as he should have in certain spurts, so that'll be something to gauge. Will his workload increase a little bit? There were a lot of, 37 attempts. Joe Mixon had 14 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown, the longest run to 16. You have to wonder, with that pass rush, a lot of passing attempts here today, and Joe Burrow took some severe hits. You have to wonder if next week maybe Mixon has an increased workload. We don't see Tennessee drop back and try to put it through the air as much, especially given the fact that Burrow, let's be real, is going to be a little banged up. But he's going to be ready to go, rest assured, and I cannot wait to see this kid do his thing in the AFC title game. Cincinnati with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Uzomah and Mixon, all these weapons surrounding him, they are very much setting the template, much like Buffalo, much like Kansas City. They're setting the template of how to build your team early on in these young quarterbacks' tenure. You're going to get them for the cheap in those first 3 to 4 years. So while you're there, you have that window to compete. You stack the talent around him. And like I said just a couple days ago on Thursday, this Bengals team probably isn't even the best version of the Cincinnati squad we'll be seeing in the near future. Just wait until they shore up that offensive line a little bit more. But there you go. That is up in history. Good timing, too, as the Green Bay-Arizona affair heads into halftime, or at least getting ready to head into halftime as the final minutes of that first half tick away. Again, a low-scoring affair where it's looking like the under in that play could hit as well, although San Francisco now in scoring position on their own 10 with a $1:09 left could make things interesting, especially if they knot it up here with just over 60 seconds remaining till they go into the locker room. But we'll touch up on that here momentarily. Again, like the under in that play, both of these games, I did not take a side. If I did say gun to my head, I will take both Green Bay and Tennessee via the money line, but that was not one of my official full tilt picks. So far, we're 1-0 with that under and this game pending. We also have some props and some plays for tomorrow that we'll address, where we'll find out where each of these teams, or these two respective teams, Cincinnati and the winner of this game, will know. They'll be nodded. We'll know as a lock who will be their opponent come next week. So we'll be able to give you an early preview, maybe even, kind of give you the preview that you could get far earlier than you'll be able to at other sources. And that's what we like to do here on Go Live Vegas and Full Tilt. If you want to get in contact with us, we'd love to hear the conversation. 702-329-6947 for the U.S. Press 1. Internationally, 855-502-4321. Again, press 1 for either of those dials to get in contact with us here at the studio. A few days ago, we were able to talk to Richard. Great hearing from him. He asked me my take on the Rams matchup, and we will dabble more into that here in just a second. But really quick, I want to look before we do. I also want to touch on Buffalo and Kansas City and a few of the props that we're looking at heading into tomorrow. Again, we'll keep you updated here with the San Francisco Green Bay contest, but I want to wrap up this segment looking ahead. I didn't give you any plays for these games. I analyzed them and broke down, I guess you could say, the matchup and the overall scenarios, but refrained from giving you a play. I instead focused on today's games last time I saw you. So you will get those Sunday plays here in just a second. And then on the other side of the break here in a few moments, we will dive in to the UFC action that is beginning beginning in just about 30 minutes. The main card of UFC 270 is very, very close, and we will give the analysis and betting predictions of the main event and co-main. Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane with the undisputed heavyweight title on the line, and of course a trilogy fight for flyweight gold between Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo. But more on that in a moment. We'll wrap things up here tonight with that. We're focusing on the NFL and what is to come in tomorrow's action as Green Bay forces a turnover there, not refusing to relinquish anything for San Francisco. They pick it off, now looking to run out the clock deep in their own territory. Heading into the locker room, that score remains 7-0. Again, a low-scoring affair that looks like the under, barring a crazy second half, will hit, bringing us to 2-0 going into Sunday, where we will also give some picks here in just a second. So I want to start with the Bills-Chiefs matchup. That's actually the later game tomorrow, but this is a game that's very interesting in props. And the reason why I want to start with this is because prop betting is something that is so much more magnified in the playoffs. You're more sure of the matchups, you're more sure of the scenarios, you know the injuries, scenarios and ramifications, you know the weather, the conditions of each of these venues that you're going to see the games at. You're going to know the quarterback matchup better than you probably would, especially if it's a rematch like we're seeing in some of these instances, both in the wild card round and this weekend in the divisional round. So it's one of those cases where you really want to look beyond the line and beyond the total and beyond the prices attached to each of these teams in these games, because you have an opportunity for profit with the players themselves. For example, tomorrow, some of the Bills-Chiefs props I like. Give me Patrick Mahomes. His mark of passing touchdowns is set at 2.5. I like the over there at plus 124. Again, the beauty of prop bets is you could take the final result out of the equation. You are simply betting on the player. Do you think Patrick Mahomes, forget whether or not the Chiefs will win the game, do you see Patrick Mahomes putting up 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs defense? Right now, it's at plus money at $1.24. That's really good value. So I'm taking the over on Patrick Mahomes at 2.5 touchdown passes at plus 124. A key thing to do for props is to not necessarily match in the way you would parlay certain bets, but because you can't parlay props, key note, as you can with money line and spread and over bets, you can't parlay props. So the good way to address props is do match, or I guess you could say address and analyze matchups that could be beneficial off of each other. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to score 3 touchdowns tomorrow through the air, and I think one of them is going to be to Travis Kelce. There's a prop for Travis Kelce to score the first touchdown in this game at plus 750. Think about how effective Travis Kelce is for this offense. Think about how Mahomes likes to go to him in the red zone. Think about what he did against Pittsburgh last Sunday night in that wild card game. This offense flows when Mahomes finds Kelce. Yes, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, Byron Pringle are explosive deep threats. Tyreek Hill is one of the best #1 wide receivers in the NFL. But Travis Kelce is Patrick Mahomes' #1 target. He's more than just a security blanket. He is the guy. And when he gets it to his guy, this offense flows in a completely different fashion. So again, you can't parlay, but I'm pairing these props together because I think they will benefit each other. Of Patrick Mahomes' 3 passing touchdowns I project him to score for the price of plus 124, I think the first one will be to Travis Kelce, which I also believe will be the first touchdown scored in Arrowhead come tomorrow night at a price of plus 750. So if both those plays were to hit, they wouldn't be a combined total payout because they're straight up bets on their own merit. But just like that, that's 2 plays hitting that could hit well before the game even ends. If the Kansas City Chiefs get the ball first half, or even on their first possession of the game, go right down the field and he finds Kelce, whether it be in the red zone or whether it be on some kind of 70-yard, breakout crazy type of play where Kelce springs free, just like that, before the game is even underway or right when it's underway, I'm already profiting. That's what props do. The payout always isn't great. Sometimes the value is, not the type of value you'd expect on some of these other big type of outcome-based bets or even the parlays you may find. But if you do it right and you manage, I'm not even going to say manage the risk, more so manage the reward. That's the beauty about props. It gives you an opportunity to bet a player without the do-or-die aspects of betting the game. All these 2 props can hit, and the Bills could still roll the Chiefs when it's all said and done, and I'm still walking away with money, as opposed to if I'm betting the Chiefs in terms of any way related to the outcome, then that's not going to be the case. In terms of that game right now, that one's tough to gauge. Right now, it's Chiefs are laying 1.5. That's basically a pick 'em. It's come down from where it was at 2.5. Either way, anything less than 3, I consider in a game like this a pick 'em. We saw Kansas City beat Buffalo last year in the AFC title game, but we saw Buffalo punch Kansas City in the mouth this year in the regular season on that primetime spot. Buffalo matches up very, very well against Kansas City, but given the circumstances, I don't think Arrowhead is a home field advantage in terms of the weather, the conditions, in terms of the crowd, in terms of just the overall venue and the way the Chiefs play there, than it is. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue for Josh Allen, because here are some Bills props I like. I think this could be a shootout, and and I will adjust that in a moment. But I think Josh Allen counters Mahomes by hitting Dawson Knox to score a touchdown for a price of plus 175. I also believe Devin Singletary, who has come alive in the past few weeks, something that Buffalo desperately needed due to their inability and inconsistency in the running, in terms of running the football and having a present running game week in and week out. He has finally made his presence known, and he was tremendous last week against New England. I don't know if that's going to be the case against Kansas City, but I do expect them to find the end zone again. The value is kind of inconsistent with where you find them in these props. This one, not so much. I'm getting this at the minus 115. That's the only prop I'm playing in this game that isn't an underdog price, if you will. However, I like the outcome. So if you feel strongly about the outcome, then go with it. And that's why when you have these props that you can't parlay, but you accumulate them through individual straight bets, you can rack up some decent cash flow without even forking up that much. But again, so much of it is based off of how you feel about the game, if you have a strong opinion on the matchups, and these are the matchups I have a strong opinion on. I believe Kelce will score first. I believe Patrick Mahomes will find the end zone 3 times. I believe Josh Allen at any point in the game will connect with Dawson Knox, and I believe at any point in the game we will find Devin Singletary crossing the goal line for the Buffalo Bills. So there are some of the props I like in that matchup. I like one prop in the Rams-Buccaneers matchup that I'll get to in a second, but I did want to jump into this matchup first in terms of our Sunday preview, because a little bit more to break down here, and I also think this overall actually going to be a more competitive game than we see in the earlier contest. In terms of the final, though, it's a pick-em. It's hard to bet against Kansas City, but I don't stick with narratives. I stick with matchups. But even so, I still don't know if I could fire on a Bills moneyline price. So because of that, I am not taking a side in this game. This will be my third total bet of the weekend, much like we saw throughout today, the game that already wrapped up that we began my segment with, and the game that is currently underway right now that just went in the half. Again, the Packers leading 7-0. So I hit the under in Cincinnati, Tennessee. Looking like I'm going to hit the under in this one. We'll see about tomorrow. The difference is I like the over. Much like I told you a couple of days ago, I believe the conditions and just the overall natures of these 4 teams we see today, Bengals, Titans, Niners, Packers, are going to allow for low-scoring smash-mouth games. I think this one is going to be a lot more finesse, a lot more passing, going to be a lot more dependent on the final stat lines of those 2 quarterbacks. In other words, this is a type of game where if someone gets sacked 9 times, then you actually lose. The way the Bengals and the Titans are structured, when you watch the flow of that game, there was opportunities for the Bengals to jump out big that the Titans were able to contain because their defense played so well. Here, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to see both teams early on find their rhythm offensively, and I think as opposed to what we saw earlier today, and so far what we're seeing now, the defenses won't be as aggressive, won't be as, I guess you could say, dependent on the final outcome of the game. So there won't be such a factor. I'm trying so hard to think of a synonym. It's just that simple. They won't be as such a determining factor in the outcome as the quarterbacks will, where in these games, even though you have likely league MVP Aaron Rodgers, and even though you have year 2 phenom in Jordan Burrow, and an old veteran like Tannehill, and a player who's been in the Super Bowl like Jimmy Garoppolo, the nature of these matchups and the conditions kind of scream defensive battle. The nature of Buffalo, Kansas City tomorrow night in Arrowhead, just based off the total of 54 alone, screams shootout. In my heart, I want a shootout. I think we're due for a really, really entertaining back-and-forth high-scoring affair. But more so, my head over my is kind of parallel with my heart, because I think that's going to happen. I could just see this one ending with a 31-28 type of final outcome, and for that, I am betting the over of 54. Now, do I think Buffalo and Kansas City are capable of defensive plays? Yes, they have playmakers in the secondary. Buffalo's secondary was lights out last week with Micah Hyde, and that depth of defensive line, they could roll guys consistently and and get after the quarterback. However, given Mahomes' escapability, given the fact that, as I just mentioned, I think Kelsey will play a factor. Eventually, he's going to be due for a big play, to whether it be Hardman, Pringle, or the most dangerous factor, deep threat-wise, being Tyreek Hill. He's going to find his weapons, and I think Josh Allen does the same. I expect Diggs and Dawson Knox and even Devin Singletary in bits and pieces. All these guys are going to play major parts, and I think we're going to see, probably all in all, the most entertaining game of the divisional weekend. Again, much of that is based off these two quarterbacks and the fact these two teams know each other. Something's got to give, and I think it's going to result in a shootout going over 54. I'll give you a gun-to-my-head type of money line pick like I did with these two games. I didn't play Green Bay or Tennessee. I picked them, didn't play them, so it's irrelevant to how we pan out here. But if you do want my pick, because if you are curious about it, I'm leaning Kansas City to win a close 31, 28, 34, 28 type of game, 34-27, something along those lines. And I think both quarterbacks will show why they are the future of this game. I also think that Josh Allen will answer a lot of questions because, sure, let's be real, there are still some doubts compared to a quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes. If Joe Burrow gets to, let's say Joe Burrow gets to the Super Bowl, now Joe Burrow is considered like the next heir apparent of the next wave. Josh Allen is right there in terms of the talent. The Bills proved that they want him to be the guy moving forward with that big contract. This is a huge game for Josh Allen, and I think he is going to be very aware of that. I like Sean McDermott. I love Andy Reid. I love both these coaches. The head coaching and quarterback matchup is going to be the key thing to take away here, much like the defenses and the conditions were the factor, and the overall control of the line of scrimmage have been the factor on Saturday. I think come Sunday night, we will see an offensive affair in Arrowhead. But give me the over at 54 and those props I just mentioned. I'll read them off one more time. Mahomes over 2.5 for passing touchdowns at plus 124. Travis Kelce to score the first touchdown at plus 750. Dawson Knox to score a touchdown at plus 175. And Devin Singletary to score a touchdown at minus 115. So that's two props that are Chiefs related, two props that are Bills related. All four of them are their own bets though. So those will be viewed accordingly on their own, not parlayed, because the books do not allow the parlaying of props. Really quick before we go to break, I'll give you one more prop in the Rams-Buccaneers matchup. Feeling much more strongly on this one in terms of the outcome. I like the Rams in this contest. I like the Rams with a money line price of plus 125. I think Tampa Bay's just a little bit depleted. Again, the injuries we saw last week, the lack of Cyril Grayson, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette was not a factor because they came out swinging against Philadelphia. Their defense was lights out. The pass rush, the running game was non-existent. Jalen Hurts really didn't get any rhythm until the second half. However, given what the Rams bring to the table offensively and now the fact they're running the football very well, that will not be the case. I don't think the Rams come out and completely steamroll the Buccaneers early on, but I think over time, as the game kind of runs its course, we're going to see LA maybe not impose their will on a physical team like Tampa the same way they did against a free-falling Cardinals team. Again, I mentioned on Thursday, don't hang your hat too much on that, given the nature of Arizona going into that game. But there were a lot of takeaways to believe that the Rams have kind of caught stride. And again, now the question is, with that roster surrounding Matthew Stafford, can they make another run for the Super Bowl? It all starts tomorrow in Tampa Bay against the defending champions. I only like one prop in that matchup, Odell Beckham Jr. to score a touchdown at plus 160. Here, much like Devin Singletary, it's something I very much will believe will happen, but an added bonus with the price. And Devin Singletary game, I'm pretty sure he will score a touchdown, but it's minus 115. It's not going to be that great of a payout. Combined with maybe some of the other winning bets, if I'm lucky enough, then it can. For this game alone, however, the payout will be a little greater given that plus price at plus 160. A lot of value strapped to Odell Beckham, especially given the way he's been performing in recent weeks. He has kind of made good on that, not controversial, but I guess you could say polarizing signing when it was announced they were going to be bringing him in at the trade deadline, and he is now becoming a major factor of the offense, as we've seen the last 2 weeks, especially last week against Arizona. I think that continues. All I need is him to score a touchdown at any point in the game for that prop to hit. So heavy on the props in Bills Chiefs, like the total. Only one prop in Rams Buccaneers, but I have a much stronger opinion on the outcome of the game. Staying away from the total, I like, though, the Rams to win outright. The way the line looks at right now at 2.5, it's basically a pick 'em. So I'd rather get the money line price of plus 125, given the fact I'm considering a pick 'em anyway. And clearly, I like the Rams to win based off of what I just said there. But I just wanted to clarify, not betting the line, not betting them to cover. Again, 2.5 kind of goes out the window. I'm emphasizing the outcome. The Rams win and move on to the NFC Championship, where we will find out who they play here in about, as the second half is set to begin in Lambeau over the course of the next hour and a half to 2 hours. So that will be locked in stone. We'll be ready to go, full steam ahead, but much to be determined here in Green Bay before we get there. So there you have it. We're going to go to break here really quick, but one more time, I'll just reiterate my plays for tomorrow, a little bit more expansive than what I gave you, focusing on the totals 2 days ago. Only one total play this time around. Over under. I like the over in Buffalo KC 54. If you like if you're looking at the pick for the game, don't have it. Not giving one out. Leaning Kansas City, but I'm not playing that. Am, however, playing LA plus 125 going to Tampa Bay while staying away from the total. And again, I read the Bills Chiefs props for you. Give them one more time. Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns at plus 124. Kelsey scoring the first TD at plus 750. And Dawson Knox to score a touchdown at plus 175. Singletary at minus 115 across the goal line, and Odell Beckham at plus 160 to cross the goal line. So there you have it. We'll see. We'll be here back in a week from now to make good on it. As of so far, based on when I last saw you, I'm doing well. I'm 1-0 out of the gate. We'll find out in this game here in a bit. And, of course, in a week from now, we'll be able to give you the full recap right here on Full Tilt. Really quick, I want to give the phone line out one more time, 702-329-6947, for those wanting to join the conversation within the States. If you're calling outside the States, catch us at 855-502-4321. Just press 1 to join in on the festivities. We'd love to hear from you as we are in, again, the teeth of the divisional round. Full Tilt Vegas, we'll play a quick trailer as we normally do to promote Richard De La Torre's work. Again, we hope Richard will be back with us next week. We're taking the reins in the meantime, but again, thank you for Richard and, of course, his analysis and his breakdown of everything from winning ways in that first segment. So we'll wrap up with our final segment on the other side. This is Full Tilt Vegas with Brett Lawson in for Richard De La Torre.
This is John Cena. I just wanted to send you a congratulations on your podcast. Thoughts count anywhere. Because indeed they do. Thoughts are important. I mean, what would we do without them? And how can they not count anywhere? Is there a place that thoughts don't count? I can't think of one. Well, I just wanted to say thank you very much, congratulations, and good luck on the podcast. Thoughts count anywhere, because they do.
All right, getting ready to put a bow on it here on a Saturday night. Full Tilt Vegas right here from the Go Live Vegas family. As we are here live in the Go Live Vegas studio. Again, catch us on all of our visual platforms that you can find on all our social media pages. And, of course, download the app for a nonstop audio feed. All our live talk shows will be available on that app. And in the meantime, jam out to some of the best music of the 1980s. If you like those classic rock and pop hits, we have them chock full here. So our technical director and really just, I guess you could say, station manager, station owner, station innovator, station creator, everything in between, executive producer. He's a big fan of 80s music. We were actually discussing it, wrapping up things here on Thursday. So plenty to get into there. And, of course, you could access that through Alexa as you can through anything else through Alexa. Just talk to your device. She'll answer, and she'll provide you with that audio app, a constant 24/7 radio feed where you're not listening to our subtle tones. You're listening, again, to the best of the 1980s as you see it advertised right there for any of our audience tuning in right now. So we're wrapping up here. Again, lots to talk about. We're in the middle of the NFL divisional weekend. That's why we really wanted to break things up with giving a preview on Thursday and then touching back in here 2 days later. But before I dive into UFC 270, which starts in about 5 minutes from now, again, it's in the book, Winning Ways, How to Beat the Casinos, paperback edition. It's been out for a few years, and so much of what you saw in the opening segment here tonight and what you see on a regular basis here on Full Tilt every Saturday night, Richard De La Torre kicking things off with his insights and with his expertise, and so much of that is rooted in the book, Winning Ways. And again, you could catch any of our merch and swag here related to Full Tilt or anything related to the Go Live Vegas family at GoLive.Vegas. That's GLV.Vegas. Grab your mug. You heard Richard plugging it there in the early on. Grab your mug, fill it up with coffee, tea, hot chocolate. It's still a little cold out. You know, a little Irish cream, little rum, little whiskey. Absolutely, if you like the dark stuff like I do. I believe Richard does as well. It's the only way to go when you're drinking the hooch. But all right, we'll wrap things up here. I mentioned it on Thursday. I wanted to give a little preview and my picks for tonight's UFC card. I've covered the fight game as an analyst for a long time. Covered it both, in a live capacity, a lot of studio time related to it in terms of live coverage, but also previews and betting analysis. And that's what we're going to get into right here as that main card, goes live in just 5 minutes. So obviously the main event between Francis Ngannou and Ciryl Gane, undisputed heavyweight championship on the line. Francis Ngannou, uncanny power, maybe the hardest hitter we've ever seen in the division. Overall, Ciryl Gane, a more well-balanced, well-rounded martial artist. He won earlier in the year the interim heavyweight championship by defeating Derek Lewis, who next to Ngannou is probably the hardest hitter the division has ever seen, and yet that power was never a factor in that bout because of the technique and the fundamentals of Gane. Also, Gane is a smaller heavyweight. He's a former light heavyweight. Therefore, he's much more fluid and much faster than normally guys at this division are. I believe that is going to be a major factor in this fight and will give Francis Ngannou problems. This fight is really tough to gauge, probably one of the hardest to pick all year long. Right now, the way it opened compared to the way it's been bet, Ngannou opened as the favorite, now sitting as the dog. You're looking at Gane as a minus 155 favorite. Ngannou coming back, the champion, coming back at least, the regular champion, if you will, Gane being the interim champion. Ngannou comes back at a plus 30 underdog price. You don't see that very often in this sport, and that's a reflection of both how the public and all in all, just the MMA community has bet this, which is what allowed the line to fluctuate and bring Ngannou down to a dog. But it also goes to show just how formidable of an opponent Ciryl Gane is. And in the immediate aftermath of him beating Derek Lewis, where he carved through the Black Beast to win that interim belt, everyone who covers the sport or follows it as a fan, anyone who has some type of investment in it, immediately said this is a dangerous matchup for Francis Ngannou. And because of that, Richard likes to talk about hedging opportunities. This is one where I think you could actually hedge and get some opportunity for profit. I think Gane, the later it goes, can wear down Ngannou, more well-rounded fighter. I don't think he tries to wrestle with him. He is the superior grappler, but I think he keeps it on his feet, uses his jab, his head movement, his control of the distance, and his well-rounded striking base, leg kicks, body kicks to kind of wear Ngannou out. And the deeper this fight goes, it more plays in to Ciryl Gane's favor. So if it goes into deeper waters, the likelihood of Ngannou getting his hand raised diminishes a bit, but what makes this so difficult to call is that Ngannou has the power, and power is the great equalizer. If you're an MMA fan or even a boxing fan, how many bouts have you watched in the past where one opponent, for the most part, outclasses the harder hitter, the more powerful fighter, and yet it just comes down to that one punch from that hard hitter that ends it all? That's what you're betting here. If you're betting two martial artists, there's a reason why Gane is the favorite. A lot of it, again, is the action of the public, but it's understandable. It's not unforeseen because Gane is that good. And again, he's a tough matchup stylistically who brings a lot to the table that Ngannou may not be ready for. The problem is when you're betting against Francis Ngannou, you're not just betting against the fighter. You're betting against one punch. And in a lot of cases, even against elite fighters, champion caliber fighters, future Hall of Famers, you aren't betting them landing one punch. You're betting an accumulation of things happening that then results in them getting the win. Here, Ngannou, for lack of a better phrase, can be getting his ass whooped for the entirety of the bout. And yet, even so, if he lands that one big shot, as we saw against Stipe Miocic, in which he won the title, and so many cases before, it could be over just like that. So my final pick as of right now, look for a hedging opportunity for Ciryl Gane to get the decision victory, wearing out Ngannou and going into deeper waters. But my official play on Full Tilt will be Francis Ngannou getting the KO at a price of plus 165. That is a tough one, though. I say that hesitantly. That's why I want to look at hedging opportunities. But excuse me, this is actually a prop, not an outcome bet. I'm not picking Ngannou to win, period, at 130. I'm picking him to win a particular way. Again, props are crucial, just like they are in football. And on the co-main event, I'm staying away from the props. Here I feel comfortable about the outcome. I feel Brandon Moreno wins the trilogy fight against Deiveson Figueiredo. In terms of the overall caliber and profiles of both these martial artists, pretty much dead on lock. You could even make the case Figueiredo is more talented, but Moreno, in the last bout, we saw the weight cut for Figueiredo be a huge factor. He's a big flyweight. Moreno is a perfectly sized flyweight, and in the grappling scenarios later in that bout, it allowed Moreno to really take advantage of the drained Figueiredo and go for that rear naked choke, which won him this belt. Their first bout was a draw, which was the best fight of the year back in 2020. So you're going off of a draw and then a second fight in which the champion was not at full strength. If Figueiredo comes in handling that weight better tonight, it will be a different story. I don't believe that to be the case, though. I think Moreno's grit, his determination, and the strength of his chin will get it done. I think Moreno retains the belt, wins the trilogy, gets his hand raised, and I think Francis Ngannou does the same. But again, Ngannou, I am betting that prop of plus 165 to knock out Ciryl Gane. Again, though, look for hedging opportunities on the other side for Gane to win via decision, given the stylistic elements of this matchup. Should be a fun one, and the card officially, as of right now, is getting ready to start, go live on pay-per-view, so check that out. And of course, check out the second half action of Green Bay and San Francisco going down live now at Lambeau. The Packers with that 7-0 lead, with the Niners driving, trying to knot it up midway through the third. That does it for us. Good luck on the rest of the plays. Good luck on anybody who's hanging their hat on my plays. I appreciate it. If you have some of your own, good luck on them. We'd love to hear from you. So join us next week on the show and tell us how you did. And then we will do what we normally do here, look ahead to the matchups coming, as well as Richard giving all the advice from his awesome book, Winning Ways. Be sure, again, to check that out. That does it for us. We plan to have Richard back with us next week. We'll find out as the week goes on. Either way, you will have content from both of us diving into both spectrums of the world of gambling. So we'll see you then. We thank you all so much for tuning in here on Go Live Vegas. This has been Brett Lawson for Richard De La Torre saying so long. Catch you next Saturday night right here on Full Tilt.